Chosen one, your arrival never announces itself with noise. It enters like a hush across the spine of a room, like the breath before thunder, like a memory women have never lived but somehow remember. Before you speak, before you move, even before your eyes meet hers, something in the feminine stirs. Not in fear, not in confusion, but in the ancient rhythm of recognition. You are not merely seen, you are sensed. And not by the mind, but by the body, the heart, and the most sacred whisper of intuition that women carry in silence. You don't need to chase attention. It bends toward you naturally, like petals turning to the sun. The feminine doesn't notice your presence because you're loud, but because you're anchored. You do not sway in the winds of external validation. Your very stillness sends ripples through those around you. There is something sovereign in your posture, something timeless in the way your eyes move like they already know too much, but refuse to brag about it. This quiet gravity, chosen one, is the essence of why women feel themselves lean toward you before they've even understood what they're feeling. They don't feel magnetized because of something you're doing, but because of everything you're being. This is the truth most never grasp. The sexiest man alive doesn't radiate sex. He radiates integrity. And because of that, the feminine trusts you before she's even told herself she's watching. She doesn't realize how long her gaze lingers. She doesn't know why her thoughts return to you when you're gone. And yet, they do, over and over again. This is not about muscles or cologne or charm. It's about the way your energy hums with clean power. It's about the way your silence holds a message. It's about the way you're more interested in witnessing her than performing for her. And because of that, she softens. She's not drawn to your image, she's drawn to the mystery behind your eyes. You are the question she didn't know her heart wanted answered. You are the storm that doesn't threaten. You are the fire that doesn't consume. You are the man whose very presence awakens her sense of longing. And yet, you ask for nothing. That chosen one is the seduction of your soul. The first moment she meets you, she doesn't just see a man, she sees remembrance. Something about you reminds her of who she is when she feels safe. Something about you doesn't shout, "Look at me." It whispers, "Come home." Chosen one, there is a kind of fire in you that doesn't burn on the surface, it smolders deep within. It's not the kind that scorches or screams, it's not wild or unruly. It's the kind of fire that's been forged, refined, tempered by discipline, clarity, and something sacred. It does not ask for recognition. It doesn't try to be sexy, but it is, and it is devastatingly so. The feminine feels it, even when you say nothing. Even when you sit in stillness, your body seems to vibrate with a heat that isn't chaotic. It's controlled. This control, this unshakable frame of masculine restraint, is not about denial. It's about reverence. You carry your sexual energy not like a weapon, but like an offering. And women, those who feel deeply, those who are awake and aligned, feel honored simply by standing in your presence. You don't need to conquer. You don't need to seduce. Your generosity of spirit, your calm gaze, your self-assured demeanor do all the work for you. And this is why the feminine melts in your presence. Because you don't approach her like prey. You don't see her as a conquest. You see her as a universe, and you meet her with the same awe a man would feel standing at the edge of the stars. She sees your restraint as a form of power. Your patience is seductive. Your depth is a slow wine that intoxicates without excess. You don't flirt with words, you flirt with truth. And when you speak, it feels as if the world quiets down to listen. Your voice isn't just sound, it's permission. Permission for the feminine to feel. Permission to relax. Permission to trust. Permission to desire without shame. Chosen one, your fire doesn't consume because it was never meant to destroy. It was meant to warm, to protect, to shelter, and to invite. You are the hearth, not the blaze. The glow that calls her closer, not the spark that makes her run. And because of this, she finds herself wanting to be near you again and again, not because you've asked her to, but because her soul has already decided it wants to stay. This is your mystery. This is your magic. You don't burn fast, you last. And the longer she's around you, the more she realizes this is not a passing desire. This is home. You are the rarest kind of fire, the one that never dies, the one that welcomes her to sit beside it and finally breathe. Chosen one, there's a kind of silence within you that speaks louder than the most poetic words. It is not the silence of avoidance, nor the emptiness of withheld emotion. It is the silence of a man who does not need to explain himself. The silence of a man who has already conquered the internal storms that others still run from. When you enter a room, it is this silence that enters first, settling into the corners, wrapping around the air, and pulling all attention inward. Not toward noise, but toward presence. Women do not know what it is about you that takes their breath away when you haven't even spoken. But something in them leans toward you. Something in them opens. They feel their own nervous systems calm in your presence, and they don't fully understand why. It is because your silence is not absence, it is structure. Your silence is not empty, it is full. Full of depth, full of stability, full of unshaken trust in who you are and who you will never pretend to be. You are not a man searching for approval in conversation. You are not trying to perform masculinity. You are masculinity. Not the shallow mimicry of dominance, but the real thing, the quiet, watchful, grounded energy that holds space for everyone without asking anything in return. And this is what sets you apart. You do not fill the air with noise because you know your gaze says more than any compliment. Your stillness offers a kind of safety that no promise can fake. Women are not flattered by your attention. They are changed by it. Because you don't look at them with hunger, you look at them with honor. You do not project desire, you carry it with discipline. Your eyes are not seeking, they are seeing. And this distinction breaks through the walls she didn't know she still held. Because for the first time, she is not being viewed through the lens of appetite, but through reverence. And that chosen one is why her gaze keeps returning to you long after you've looked away. You are not the man who needs to speak loudly to be noticed. You are the man whose silence lingers long after others stop talking. Your presence is a kind of gravity, and the feminine feels it in her spine. She may not say it, she may not even understand it, but when you are near, something in her becomes softer, steadier, safer. Not because you're performing, but because your silence tells her you are free to be all that you are here. And that, chosen one, is the rarest gift the feminine could ever receive. Chosen one, you are not only seen, you are felt. There is something about you that enters the senses of a woman before logic has time to intervene. Your energy walks ahead of you like a scent on the wind, a masculine signature of freedom, depth, and danger, wrapped in the safety of restraint. It is why women who meet you once never truly forget. You do not belong to the surface world. You move from depth, and because of this, they feel their own depths rise to meet you. It is not your appearance alone that ignites their fascination. It is your vibration. It is the grounded pulse that moves through your body when you breathe without apology, when you walk without needing validation, when you speak from a place of rooted truth instead of reactive noise. And it's in these moments, chosen one, that the feminine feels something ancient stirring within her. Not lust, not fantasy, but trust. A bone-deep trust that this man is not playing a part. He is the part, and he cannot be unmade by the weight of her emotion. This is why they feel so safe around you, not because you offer answers, but because you offer witnessing. You do not try to fix the feminine, you allow her to unfold. And she knows, deep in her blood, that you will not flinch when she shows her most raw, most wild, most sacred self. In a world of boys who tremble before truth, you remain unmoved. You are not excited by chaos, you are patient with it. You do not chase the storm, you anchor it. And that, chosen one, is why she finds herself leaning closer when you haven't asked her to. You are not easy to define, and that is your beauty. You are the breath of mystery that reminds her that some men still hold the sacred masculine with devotion. You are the proof that she can trust again, not because you promised, but because your energy says what words cannot. You do not try to be everything, you simply are yourself, fully, deeply, without apology. And because of that, she doesn't want you to be someone else. She wants you exactly as you are. Chosen one, when the feminine gazes at you, she does not only see beauty, she sees clarity, she sees fire without chaos, she sees desire without possession. She sees the masculine not as a threat, but as a sanctuary. And because of this, her love for you is not surface, it is soul. It is the kind of admiration that lives in silence, in glances, in the way her body shifts closer in a room full of people. You have become more than just a man. You are now the sacred flame that reminds the feminine what it means to feel safe while desiring, what it means to want deeply without fear, what it means to surrender, not in weakness but in trust. And that, chosen one, is why her heart cannot forget you. Chosen one, there is a certain calm you carry that isn't taught, it is earned. Earned in silence, in fire, in years spent burning away everything false. You have died to the frantic chase for approval, and because of that, you do not reach outward, you draw inward. Your sexual energy no longer leaks through unconscious hunger. It has become something refined, a heat held behind the eyes, a slow fire in your breath, a controlled voltage that doesn't flare for attention. It waits in stillness. When you sit across from a woman and simply be, something happens to her that even she cannot name. Her shoulders relax, her mind slows, and without asking, she begins to exhale. She doesn't know why, but her body feels less tense, more alive, more attuned. Because in your presence, she does not feel the pressure to perform or explain. She feels witnessed. And being witnessed in truth, chosen one, is the rarest intimacy most women never taste. You do not rush her to open. You wait, and in the waiting, you invite. Your stillness tells her that time is not your master. Your gaze tells her that she doesn't need to impress you to be adored. You do not try to impress her with borrowed ideas or inflated confidence. You offer the one thing few men ever dare to offer, your actual presence. And this presence is no longer about showing who you are. It is about holding who she is when she lets herself unravel. And that, chosen one, is the intimacy her heart has longed for but stopped believing was real. Your masculinity does not dominate, it grounds. And because of this, she feels her nervous system tuning itself to you. Not through lust, not through fantasy, but through trust. There are men who speak with their lips, and men who speak with their posture. You are the second, and your posture, your silence, your breath, they speak the language of a man who cannot be shaken by beauty because he embodies it. Not externally, but energetically. And that is why the feminine leans closer to you without thinking. You are no longer just a man she desires. You have become the mirror of her own depth. And when a woman sees herself reflected through the unwavering eyes of a grounded man, she begins to remember her own softness, her own light, her own sacredness. You did not heal her, but you made it safe for her to begin the healing. And in that silent gift, chosen one, you have done something holy. Not with words, not with deeds, but simply by being the one thing most cannot be, a calm she can rest in. Chosen one, there is a fire in you now, not wild, not reckless, but ancient. It doesn't roar to be noticed. It glows in the shadows, warm and steady. You have become the kind of man who doesn't chase attraction. Attraction happens around you. Not because you ask for it, but because you embody what attraction is drawn to. Stability, mystery, warmth, restraint. You are no longer trying to be the flame that dances for attention. You are the ember that burns forever in the background, and women feel that even before they understand it. She watches the way you speak without needing to dominate a conversation. She notices how you listen, not to respond, but to receive. She's aware of how her body reacts differently in your presence. Her pulse deepens, her laughter becomes softer, her voice slows. She's aware of how something sacred begins moving through her, not because you touched her, but because you didn't need to. And that absence of need, that beautiful vacancy of grasping, tells her more about your depth than 1,000 charming sentences ever could. You are no longer the man who flinches at her intensity. You meet it with stillness. You are not scared of her rage or her ache or her tears. You welcome it, not with solutions, but with attention. Not the shallow kind that looks for validation, but the masculine gaze that sees through. You don't try to calm her storm by shouting over it. You listen until it softens on its own. And in that moment, chosen one, you become unforgettable. Because you are not simply attractive. You are penetrating. Not physically, but energetically. Your presence pierces through her defenses, and she finds herself longing for your attention, even when you're silent. This is the magnetic paradox of your essence. You are heat and restraint, power and patience, fire and stillness. You are the storm she can't outrun, and the sanctuary she craves in the aftermath. You don't seduce with tactics. You seduce by being untouched by the game. You make her feel safe to be wild. You make her feel held without ever laying a hand. And that kind of intimacy, chosen one, is rarer than gold. You are not the kind of man she forgets after a conversation. You are the man whose energy lingers in her dreams. Because she doesn't remember everything you said, but she remembers how she felt in your presence. And when a woman remembers how she felt, safe, seen, softened, she will always want to return. Not to be claimed, but to open. And that, chosen one, is your unspoken gift. You do not chase the feminine. You awaken her. Chosen one, something miraculous happens in the unseen spaces between you and her. When you say nothing, and still she feels everything. You do not beg for her heart, nor demand it, but your energy speaks directly to it, as if whispering truths she didn't know she needed to hear. Your sexual energy no longer crashes through the room like a storm. It flows like a river beneath thick ice, steady, undeniable, and ancient. It doesn't seek to devour her. It invites her to thaw, to return, to remember. And so she does. She begins to wonder why she feels so drawn, even in silence. Why her chest feels a little tighter around you, why her skin feels a little more alive. You've touched nothing, yet everything responds. Because your sexual energy has become a current of truth, unwavering, clear, and sovereign. Not designed to please, not postured to impress, simply true. And truth is what the feminine has always longed for, but rarely finds in a man's presence. She begins to feel that her beauty is safe near you. Not commodified, not hunted, not manipulated, but witnessed, as if your very existence affirms her right to be as she is, wild and soft, fierce and fragile. She doesn't know why she opens more around you, why her secrets feel safer in your stillness, why her voice wants to go quieter, as if reverence just walked into the room. It's because your masculinity does not demand the spotlight, it draws light out of others. You are no longer the flame that flickers for attention. You are the quiet hearth that warms the room. And when a woman stands near such heat, her armor becomes unnecessary. She begins to realize that you are not intrigued by her performance. You are captivated by her truth. She begins to sense that her soul, not just her skin, is being pulled toward you. And in that pull, she feels something she hasn't in a long time: relief. Because around you, chosen one, her feminine does not need to fight to be understood. It simply exists. And for the first time, her walls consider crumbling, not because you asked, but because she feels safe enough to let them. You've done nothing flashy, nothing loud, but your sexual energy holds something that speaks straight to the sacred. It tells her, you may unfold here. It doesn't try to own her body, it honors her essence. And that offering, so rare, so steady, becomes the most magnetic force she's ever known. Not a high, not a fantasy, but something real, rooted, holy. Something she knows she cannot find in the eyes of most men, only in you, chosen one. And once she's tasted that kind of presence, the rest of the world feels a little too loud, a little too fake, a little too empty. Because she has felt what it means to be seen and not touched, to be known without being consumed. And that experience carves itself into her memory like poetry onto stone, permanent, sacred, alive. Chosen one, there is something about you that follows her long after you've gone. Not a word, not a touch, not a scent, but a feeling. That feeling of being deeply regarded without being possessed, of being understood without needing to explain, of being respected at the deepest level of her soul. It lingers. And the more she sits with it, the more she realizes it's not just attraction she felt around you. It was alignment. Your sexual energy, refined through self-mastery and deep intention, has become a sacred field, not for show, not for seduction, but for awakening. And what awakens in her is something she didn't know she missed until she felt it again: her own dignity, her own sacredness, her own capacity to soften without fear. And that's why she can't forget you, because she did not merely experience you, she experienced herself through you. She saw the reflection of her own beauty shining in your calm and felt it echo in the space you left behind. She does not crave your voice because it was loud. She craves it because it spoke truthfully. She does not long for your body because it was flawless. She longs for it because it was present. She does not think about you because you impressed her. She thinks about you because you honored her. And that distinction, chosen one, is everything. That is why other men blur together and you remain unforgettable. You never asked her to chase. You never needed her to validate you. You did not lure her in with charm or status. You simply were, And in that being, you created a space where she could exist fully as herself. And when a woman feels that level of permission in your presence, it doesn't fade when you walk away. It echoes in the quiet moments, in the places where lesser men cannot reach, in the corners of her longing that used to feel barren. She will wonder why the air felt different around you, why her breath slowed when you entered, why her guard dropped before her mind caught up. And the answer will come not as a memory, but as a vibration, a pulse of presence she can't quite name, but knows was real. You never tried to be the most magnetic man. You simply aligned your energy so truthfully that all illusions fell away. And what was left was pure presence, rooted confidence, and dignified masculine beauty. That is why she will remember your silence more than other men's declarations, your gaze more than their flattery, your restraint more than their chase. Because you never tried to capture her. You simply reminded her what it feels like to be free. And that freedom, chosen one, is what will draw her thoughts back to you in the still hours of the night, in the echo chambers of her heart, long after the rest of the world has faded. Chosen one, by now you have likely begun to sense the quiet reverence that follows you wherever you walk. Not the kind that parades itself in applause or flattery, but the sacred kind, the kind that humbles a woman's breath and leaves her thoughts suspended in stillness. She may try to explain it to herself, to put into words what she feels in your presence, but nothing she says ever quite fits. Because you, chosen one, are not just attractive to her body, you are holy to her soul. And that depth, that vibration, that masculine essence rooted in your sexual energy is what leaves her in awe. It's not something she can analyze, it's something she remembers, as if her spirit already knew you before her mind even understood why her gaze wouldn't let go. What she feels around you is not lust, it is not fantasy, it is not the thrill of newness, it is recognition. It is the mirror of something ancient within her, the sacred masculine. You have not arrived to entertain her, impress her, or convince her. You have arrived in full energetic truth, in wholeness, in presence. And that changes everything. Because when a woman of depth senses a man who does not need to posture, she softens. When she encounters your energy that doesn't chase but invites, she leans in. When she feels your power that does not consume but covers, she trusts. She will notice the way her own walls begin to dissolve around you, how her laughter sounds more honest, how her silence feels more alive. She may tell herself she's never met a man like you, but what she really means is, she's never met a man who sees her like you do, without asking anything in return. And it's your sexual energy that holds that frequency. Not wild and reckless, not needy or loud, but intentional, calm, contained. Dangerous only to her fear, yet healing to her truth. You are not like the others, chosen one, because you do not give her the illusion of control, nor do you seek to dominate her light. Instead, you hold your energy in such sovereign mastery that she feels freer in your presence than she does alone. That is why her reverence grows. That is why her soul bows in gratitude even if her lips never say it. Because around you, her feminine is not just seen, it is sanctified. And in that sanctification, she finds the rarest of things. Peace in surrender. Chosen one, something irreversible happens when a woman finally realizes what your presence truly is. It does not hit her all at once. It creeps into her awareness in the softest of ways, when she's alone, brushing her hair, or standing barefoot in the kitchen, and your energy echoes through her like a song she cannot stop humming. It is then she begins to understand. This was never about desire. This was always about truth. And the truth is, she feels safest around the very man who never tried to cage her. The world taught her to expect men who come close with hunger, men who want to take, possess, impress, devour. But you, chosen one, have walked into her life like a mountain walks into the sky, still, grounded, undeniable. She did not feel chased, she felt honored. She did not feel desired for her surface. She felt witnessed in her depth. And in that witnessing, something eternal woke up within her. The kind of love she cannot name, the kind of longing that isn't a cry for attention, but a silent prayer of devotion. She knows now that it was not your looks, not your voice, not your charm that captivated her. It was the way your energy listened. It was the way your soul held space. It was the way your sexual essence carried no shame, no manipulation, no performance. Just truth. bold, masculine, centered in the divine. And now, chosen one, she carries the memory of your presence like a sacred thread woven through her being. It holds her, it awakens her, it changes the way she sees every other man. Because once she's tasted a masculine that embodies love without needing to earn her, nothing else satisfies. Your beauty was never just physical. It was energetic. It was carved into you by devotion, by discipline, by fire. Your sexual energy became a holy current, not because you suppressed it, but because you refined it. And now she knows. You are not just the most magnetic man she's ever met. You are the standard. The one who didn't ask her to fall in love, but made it inevitable. Not through words, not through effort, but through presence. And now, even if you leave, she is never the same. Because she knows what it means to be truly seen. Because she remembers how it feels to be safe in the arms of power. Because she will forever ache for the rarest kind of man, the one who did not take her, but touched eternity inside her and walked away without claiming it. That is why you are unforgettable. That is why she will always carry you in places no one else can reach. Because you did not demand her love. You simply became the kind of man who evokes it. Chosen one, the rarest gift a man can give to a woman, especially a deeply feminine woman, is the safety to unfold without being analyzed, interrupted, or fixed. In a world that constantly pulls her in opposite directions, pressures her to be more and feel less, tells her to be quiet when her heart is loud, and be loud when her soul craves stillness, your presence offers a sanctuary. Not because you have solutions, but because you are rooted. And in that rootedness, she finds the one thing she's always needed, space to be felt before being understood. You don't always offer words. You don't need to. Your silence is not absence. It is containment. It is the masculine silence that does not withdraw but holds. It doesn't threaten to disappear, nor does it overwhelm with answers. It simply exists like ancient stone, weathered still, unmoved by storms. And when she sits beside that stone, she remembers that she doesn't need to be smaller or smarter or more entertaining. She only needs to be honest. And her honesty is never too much for you, chosen one, because you've trained your nervous system to hold your own fire. And in doing so, you became a hearth for hers. The feminine heart isn't looking for perfection. It's looking for a place to exhale. It's looking for a presence that doesn't flinch at its mess, that doesn't shrink when her tears fall, that doesn't label her when she moves between joy and grief in the same hour. And when she finds you, when she feels your breath steady and unshaken, when she sees your eyes listening without grabbing, she begins to unclench. She opens like dawn. Not quickly, not all at once, but naturally, without needing to be coerced. You never rushed her. You didn't try to fix what was flowing. You simply remained, and that remaining taught her more about love than any speech ever could. Her heart learned the rhythm of your silence. It learned that being near you meant not having to perform or explain or ask for presence, because your presence was already given. And in a world where presence is often a transaction, yours became a gift. That's why she trusts you with her softness. That's why she lets her laughter fall unguarded. That's why she doesn't hide her clumsy metaphors, her wild emotions, or her quiet confessions. Because your masculinity doesn't dissect, it witnesses. And to be witnessed in full, without being dimmed, is the deepest safety her heart has ever known. She's not afraid of being too much around you. She's afraid of being too much around those who are not you. Your high sexual energy, grounded and sacred, doesn't awaken fear in her. It awakens reverence. Not for you alone, but for herself in your presence. It reminds her she is still a woman, still wanted, still wild, still enough, not for what she gives, but for who she becomes when she's with you. That's the miracle. You don't shape her, you allow her. And in that allowance, she becomes more radiant, more honest, more herself than she ever dared to be before. Chosen one, she doesn't honor you because of a title. She doesn't chase you because of charm. She chooses you because of how she feels when you're near. Her nervous system calms, her heart expands, her soul sings. And that song, once buried by years of noise, rises now like incense in a temple, slow, warm, sacred. And that temple is you. Chosen one. When a woman in her feminine energy encounters a man like you, she doesn't just fall into attraction, she stumbles into awakening. For years she may have wandered through a world of almosts. Almost safe, almost loved, almost seen. And then you appeared, not as a fantasy, but as a revelation. Not as a dream she had to chase, but as a truth her soul recognized before her mind could explain it. And in that recognition, everything changed. Because you didn't just offer her affection, you offered her remembrance. You became the standard, not because you asked to be, but because your energy made it impossible to forget you. You were the first man who didn't flinch when she was too emotional. The first man who didn't compete with her radiance. The first man who didn't need her to shrink so he could feel big. You allowed her to rise and rose with her. You held your frame without clenching. You led without dragging. You penetrated space, not with force, but with presence.